morning and welcome to the Breakfast News this Monday morning. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor. Let us start with the headlines. Prime Minister Modi arrives in Tehran on two-day visit. Says India looks to enhance economic ties with the country with whom it shares cultural ties. Afghanistan confirms killing of Taliban leader Mullah Akhtar Mansoor in US drone strike. Pakistan condemns the killing on its soil near Ahmedwala in Baluchistan. US says Mansoor posed direct threat to its interests. Jayalalitha to take oath for second consecutive time today. 28 ministers to take oath along with her. Sarbanand Sonowal quits from Union Cabinet as Assam Governor invites BJP to form government. Six personnel of Assam Rifles killed in ambush by militants in Chandel in Manipur. Home Minister directs security forces to take strongest possible action against perpetrators. And India successfully launches reusable launch vehicle from Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh. Indigenous winged RLV is being dubbed as India's own space shuttle. Well, our top focus, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a two-day visit to Tehran. Today he is slated to meet the top Iranian leadership. The highlight for the day is the expected signing of an agreement on the development of the strategic Chabahar port. Modi began his visit on Sunday with a visit to the only functioning Gurudwara in Tehran. He said that he underlined the significance of Indo-Iranian civilizational ties.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi arriving in the Iranian capital Tehran on a two-day visit on Sunday. Iran's Finance and Economic Affairs Minister Ali Tayyib receiving him at the Mehrabad International Airport. On arrival, Modi tweeted that he hopes to enhance economic ties with the country that India shares civilizational ties with. From the airport, the Prime Minister left for the only functioning Gurudwara and met and addressed people of Indian origin. The Gurudwara has been functioning in Tehran since 1940s.
पहली बार ईरान आया है, लेकिन मेरे कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत गुरु ग्रंथ साहब के सामने सर झुका करके हो रही है। ये मेरा सौभाग्य है।
The Sikh community, some 800 families are Iranian citizens, mostly traders, who moved to Tehran in the early 20th century from Punjab.
It's a very good opportunity for our Indians staying over here. और इससे हमारे already अच्छे relation है country के साथ, पर इसके साथ इनके आने से और ज़्यादा अच्छे relation होंगे.
From there, Modi headed to his hotel where he interacted with school students on arrival. The Prime Minister has a packed schedule today as he meets the Iranian leadership. He is the first Indian Prime Minister to visit the country in 15 years. The visit is also significant since the lifting of economic sanctions on the country. After a ceremonial welcome, formal talks with Iranian President Hassan Rouhani is scheduled. Rouhani will also host a lunch for Prime Minister Modi. A crucial agreement to developing the strategic Chabahar port is expected to be signed. Apart from this, India is looking at doubling oil imports from the Persian Gulf nation. Modi will also call on Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei before his return. Qurban Ali's report from Tehran for Rajya Sabha TV.
All right, for more on this, let's go across to my colleague Qurban Ali, who's joining us live from Tehran. Qurban, it's early in the morning and Prime Minister Modi is in Tehran. He has invoked India's civilizational ties. He aims to boost economic and cultural ties with the country. Tell us more.
Yeah, Shwarya, it's a very tight schedule for the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He arrived last evening and he went straight to a Gurudwara where he paid his homage and tribute to the Sikh leader Guru Gobind Singh, and then he came back. And from this morning, in an hour's time, he is going to start his official visit he is going to meet Iran's president, on whom invitation he is visiting Iran. And there is many bilateral meetings and agreement has to be signed. So the main agreement is about the Sabha, which India is committed, and it's pledged to invest $20 billion in Iran, and also to develop a special trade-free zone in Shahzad. So these are the things Prime Minister has to sign, and later in the evening he has to inaugurate a mega cultural festival here, and also he will try to sign some more agreements relating to India and Iran's cultural ties. You know,
Right.
the India and Iran has thousands of years of shared culture, and both the countries speaks almost the same language and the culture. So that's all about Prime Minister's visit to Iran today.
All right, Qurban, thank you so much for those details there. So India's civilizational ties with Iran is what Prime Minister Narendra Modi has embarked upon. He said that he is going to hold talks with the Iranian top leadership today, and he said that it would provide him an opportunity to advance the strategic partnership between the two nations. We'll continue tracking that story in the subsequent bulletins as well. Meanwhile, Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari is in Tehran along with the Prime Minister to the signing of an agreement on the Chabahar port. RSTV's Qurban Ali caught up with him on insights into the strategic importance of the project.
Would you please elaborate, because you were behind this visit, you were trying to implement this agreement in letter and spirit, which is going to be tomorrow, about the Chabahar project. What is the significance of this project?
Actually, when Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the Prime Minister, at that time he has taken a decision to finalize construction of this port, Chabahar port. But unfortunately, last many years, nothing happened. But now, under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, has taken a decision. And today we are working from last 2 years on this subject. And it's a great pleasure and pride for me. This can be a historical and revolutionary era of development now start between Iran and India. Because whatever the plus point with Iran is, the gas is available with low cost. India have big shortage of petroleum and gas. So now for manufacturing urea from petroleum products, for steel and aluminum, the cost of power is very less. So this is the time for the India, that is the win-win situation. And the most important thing is, distance between Mumbai and Delhi compared with Kandla and Chabahar is less. And now by opening this Chabahar, we can go directly up to Afghanistan, and after Afghanistan to Russia. Now presently we have go to Afghanistan, only one route available through Pakistan. So this is a strategic point of view, is very important for the India. And now it is going to increase the trade between the Afghanistan and India also. We are also going to finalize the agreement between the Afghanistan, India and Iran. The transport agreement will be the new vision of development for these three countries. So I feel that it will be a game changer.
Sir, as you have said that there was some hiccups, there was some constraints, and it could not become a reality. Still, people think that there are some problems, and you are saying that you are going to transfer this thing to happen in 18 months' time. So, will it be possible for you?
No, we don't have no problems now. After finalizing this agreement, I am confident that we will complete the port project with 18 months. Our profile, everything is now ready, because we are working from last 2 years on this subject. So, and now the basic important thing was the agreement. And now tomorrow, in the presence of Prime Minister, we are going to finalize and sign this agreement. So now whatever the problems which we are facing at that time from both the countries, now there is no problem. I feel that now it can be an easy process by which we can start the work as early as possible.
An Indian ambassador to Iran, Saurabh Kumar, also spoke to Rajya Sabha TV on the significance of Prime Minister Modi's visit to the country.
Prime Minister's visit is a very significant visit. This is after 15 years, an Indian Prime Minister is visiting this country in the bilateral context. Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee was here in 2001. Prime Minister's visit would focus on a number of important initiatives. Regional connectivity is one of them. Cooperation in the hydrocarbon and energy sector is another one. We look forward to taking a partnership from that of a buyer and seller to a strategic partnership in the energy sector. Trade and commerce is the third area, and we are hopeful that the discussions which the Prime Minister would have with the leadership of this country would result in positive outcomes in all these areas.
And on to the other big story. Well, India's first of its kind space satellite launch vehicle, RLVTD, was launched from Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh today. The 6.5-meter long reusable launch vehicle technology demonstrator, or the RLVTD, weighs about 1.75 tons. Now, the cost of this project is 95 crore rupees. This is the first time that ISRO flew a winged body, and will it bring it back to land on a makeshift runway in the Bay of Bengal. However, it further tests an undercarriage will be placed to make it land possibly at Sriharikota. A reusable launch vehicle can launch satellites into the orbit around the Earth and then re-enter the atmosphere. It is seen as a baby step towards the historic launch of the advanced RLV by 2020. India's first test flight for a reusable launch vehicle comes about 6 years after NASA grounded its reusable launch shuttle in 2011. For more on this, let's go across to senior scientist Gohar Raza, who's joining us on the phone line. Sir, now India successfully launches its reusable launch vehicle from Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh today. It has been mission has been successfully accomplished. What is the significance of this big achievement?
It's not a baby step. It's a very giant step by our scientists and technologists. I think that the cost reduction, which is one of the objectives repeatedly stated everywhere, is granted. But it's not only just the reduction of cost that it will bring to us. This is going to bring to us a new phase of space technologies, a phase which will open up many, many more spin-offs. A large number of things go into designing something which we call as a relaunch vehicle. Relaunch vehicles are very different from the normal rockets, the normal launch vehicles, because in normal launch vehicles, we send the vehicle up and the satellite is launched, or whatever is the payload is launched eventually, and we lose the vehicle. It's like having a car and sending it somewhere, and the car never comes back to you.
All right.
You need another car for again sending some cargo somewhere. This vehicle is going to come back, which is 10 to 15 years from now. But this is a giant step, and since it has been successfully accomplished, it's a day of celebration because we are entering into a new age of our space technology.
All right.
Why is it so important to have a launch vehicle? One, that we reduce the cost, granted, but a relaunch vehicle tells you a large number of other things which a normal rocket cannot tell you. For example, when we come back, when we re-enter our space, while we are going, the atmosphere gets thinner and thinner, and the resistance goes down. But when we re-enter, the atmosphere gets thicker and thicker, and therefore the temperatures at which you operate when entering are extremely high, very, very high. So anything, even a small screw, if it is not in place and if it is not heat resistant to the extent the temperatures are high, it can be very dangerous for the vehicle, which is what happened in the
yes.
past. That some of the ties.
Yes, indeed, a big step there for the ISRO and for the country as well. Let's move on to some other news. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Well, 6 security personnel of the 29 Assam Rifles, including a junior commissioned officer, were killed when militants ambushed their convoy in Chandel district of Manipur, close to the Myanmar border on Sunday afternoon. Now, the convoy was attacked by heavily armed militants in Chandel when the security personnel were returning after inspecting a landslide site in the district. It is suspected that 2 or more militant groups jointly carried out the attack. Now, more troops were rushed to the area and a massive search operation is underway at the moment. Meanwhile, Home Minister Rajnath Singh has directed security forces to take strongest possible action against the militants involved in the killing. The Home Minister also spoke to Assam Rifles Director General, who apprised him of the situation and also the action taken that has been taken so far. Jayalalitha will be sworn in as the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu today for the 6th time. Now, she will be sworn in for a 2nd consecutive term along with the 28 other ministers. The ceremony will take place at the Madras University Centenary Auditorium. The stately auditorium has a special significance for Jayalalitha as she was first sworn in as the Chief Minister there in June 1991 by the then governor. In 2011 as well, she took the oath of office at the same premises, while in 2001, the swearing-in ceremony was held at Raj Bhavan. When sworn in today, 68-year-old Jayalalitha will be starting her 4th term in office. Her first term was between 1991 to 96, second from 2001 to 2006, and third from 2011 to 2016. For nearly 6 months, starting September 2001, she was out of office after she was unseated by Supreme Court vis-a-vis electoral disqualification between 29th of September 2014 and 22nd of May 2015. She was out of office again after she was disqualified as a legislator and consequently lost chief ministership following her conviction in a graft pick case by a trial court in Bangalore, which was later set aside by the Karnataka High Court. News from Assam, where the Chief Minister designate Sarbanand Sonowal resigned from the Union Council of Ministers on Sunday. The resignation was forwarded by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to President Pranab Mukherjee, who accepted it. Now, Sonowal stepped down as the Union Sports Minister after he was unanimously elected as the BJP Legislature Party leader of Assam. He is now set to take oath as the state's new Chief Minister on 24th of May. But even before taking charge, Sonowal has hit his priorities cut out. He has said the implementation of the Assam Accord is his topmost priority. He has also vowed to seal the borders with Bangladesh in 2 years' time in a bid to stop infiltration. Remember, this was one of the poll promises made by the BJP prior to the elections in Assam. Following Sonowal's resignation, Union Minister Jitendra Singh has been given additional charge of the Sports Ministry. And BJP leader and former IPS officer Kiran Bedi has been appointed as the Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry. Bedi replaces Lieutenant General A.K. Singh, who has the Lieutenant Governor of Andaman and Nicobar, was given additional charge of Puducherry in 2014. Now, Bedi said that she looks forward to giving every bit of herself to the responsibility. Interestingly, her appointment comes just days after the Congress-TMK alliance stormed to power in the Union Territory, winning 17 of the 30 seats in the Assembly.
क्योंकि मैं उस एरिया के विकास के लिए जा रही हूँ ताकि युवाओं को वो मिले जो वो आज अपनी लीडरशिप से मांग रहे हैं। आज गवर्नमेंट की लीडरशिप डेवलपमेंट है, हमको हर एंगल से डेवलपमेंट और ऐसी डेवलपमेंट जो पहुंचे उनको और लास्ट माइल तक जाए। जो हमारा लास्ट पब्लिक सर्वेंट है, जो ग्रास रूट पब्लिक सर्वेंट है, मेरी प्राथमिकता वो होगी।
And now an update on the NEET controversy. Well, amid the controversy of the ordinance to keep state boards out of the National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test this year, Health Minister J.P. Nadda will brief President Pranab Mukherjee on the issue today. He will meet President to explain the rationale behind taking the ordinance route to keep the state boards out of the ambit of the Uniform Medical Entrance Examination. The ordinance cleared by the Union Cabinet is aimed at partially overturning a Supreme Court order which said all government colleges, deemed universities as well as private medical colleges would be covered under the umbrella of the National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test. The Apex Court, remember, had earlier ruled that students would have to appear for NEET starting this academic session for admissions to medical and dental colleges in the country. Now, more than 15 states opposed its conduct, citing reasons such as different syllabus and language at a recent state health ministers meeting. The next phase for the exam is scheduled for 24th of July. Nearly 6.5 lakh students have already taken the test in the first phase on 1st of May.
माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी ने चर्चा के लिए बुलाया है। मुझे लगता है कि नीट के विषयों में जो हम सोच रहे हैं उस पर उनकी वो चाहते होंगे कि उस पर हम प्रकाश डालें और मंत्रालय क्या सोचता है इसको जानने की उनकी इच्छा होगी। जो भी उनके मन में माननीय महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी के मन में है उनसे चर्चा करूंगा। और मैं ये मानता हूं कि ऐसे सेंसिटिव मैटर पर राजनीति नहीं करनी चाहिए। इट्स ए प्योरली एन एकेडमिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव इशू एंड वी शुड सॉर्ट आउट लाइक दैट। और हमने सबको ऑन बोर्ड लिया है, स्टेट मिनिस्टर्स को ऑन बोर्ड लिया है, राजनीतिक दलों से बातचीत की है, सभी पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज का मंतव्य जाना है और सबके मंतव्य को एक साथ संजो करके उसको हम एक एड्रेस करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं।
And on to news on the weather update. Well, there's no let-up in the heat wave conditions that have gripped the large parts of the country. Now, the Met Department has predicted rainfall at some places in the next 24 hours and the heat wave conditions to continue till 26th of May. People in several parts of the country continue to reel under intense temperatures as the nation struggles to cope with the heat wave. While mercury in Haryana and Rajasthan rose to 47 degrees Celsius, Nagpur recorded a maximum temperature of 44 degrees Celsius on Sunday. People outdoors were seen taking measures like covering their heads and faces with cloth to protect themselves from the scorching heat.
जैसे हम लोग तो बाइक से ट्रैवलिंग करते तो भी ऐसा लगता है कि जैसे अंगार निकल रही है, जैसे गाड़ी बाइक चलाना भी मुश्किल हो जाता है। ऐसे कई झाड़ वगैरह के नीचे बैठ के थोड़ा सा विश्रांति लेने में थोड़ा अच्छा लगता है।
The heat wave condition continued to grip the western region of Odisha as well, with mercury level touching 45.5 degrees Celsius at Titlagar. The situation was not so different in Uttar Pradesh, where the temperatures touched 42 degrees Celsius.
पूरा पसीने से एकदम बुरा हाल है। जैसे ही हम लोग कहीं पेड़ देखते हैं, छाई देखते हैं तो वहाँ पे रुक जाते हैं, थोड़ी देर आराम करते हैं, फिर उसके बाद आगे बढ़ते हैं ताकि धूप से बचा जा सके। नींबू शिकंजी वगैरह लिया करते हैं।
The maximum temperature in the national capital settled at 42.7 degrees Celsius, 3 notches above the season's average. The Met Office has, however, predicted rain and thunderstorm in the coming days. With numerous deaths having been reported due to extreme heat, the Ministry of Earth Sciences has attributed the overall hotter climate to the El Nino effect. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And on to some international news now. Well, US President Barack Obama is in Vietnam for a landmark visit, capping 2 decades of harmony between the former wartime foes. Now, the 3-day trip looks to push trade between the two countries and check Beijing's growing assertiveness in the South China Sea. Obama aims to boost defense and economic ties with the country's communist rules, while also prodding them on human rights. His visit has been preceded by a debate in Washington on whether Obama should use the trip to roll back on arms embargo in Hanoi, one of the largest vestiges of the wartime animosity. Well, the move is likely to anger China, which represents U.S. efforts to forge stronger military bonds with Beijing's neighbors amid rising tensions in the disputed South China Sea. Now, people lined up the streets outside the hotel where Obama will stay. Some also expressed hope that the visit would result in better diplomatic and economic relationship.
Cháu rất là hy vọng và kỳ vọng nhiều ở chuyến thăm lần này của ông Obama để mở ra những cái cơ hội mới cho Việt Nam ạ.
Lĩnh vực trên hoạt động ngoại giao hay là đặc biệt là vấn đề về biển hiện nay, nếu mà được sự ủng hộ của Mỹ cũng như là các đồng minh khác nữa thì Việt Nam sẽ ổn hơn và có thể là yên ổn hơn về vùng biển.
Meanwhile, Meanwhile, Afghanistan has given the first official confirmation of the killing of Taliban leader Mullah Akhtar Mansoor. The US says it has no definitive proof of the death in multiple drone strikes authorized by US President Barack Obama in a Pakistani town in Balochistan province. Well, the death of the Taliban leader is a major blow to his friends in the Pakistani military and security establishment, and it starts another struggle for the Taliban leadership. Confirmation of the death of Taliban leader Mullah Akhtar Mansoor. Both Afghanistan spy agency and the country's chief executive Abdullah asserted that Mansoor had been killed after the US targeted him in a drone strike. The drone targeted his vehicle in Ahmedwal, a remote area of southwest Pakistan near the Afghan border on Saturday. It is the first known US assault on a top Afghan Taliban leader on Pakistani soil and marks a major blow to the terrorist movement, which saw a new resurgence under Mansoor.
در سلسله عملیات‌های ضد تروریستی قوات‌های ایالات متحده آمریکا یک عملیات را توسط درون‌ها برآ انداختند و موتر حامل اختر محمد منصور مورد هدف قرار دادند در بیرون از سرحدات افغانستان و احتمال
Mansour was a threat to that effort and to bringing an end to the violence and the suffering that the people of Afghanistan have endured for so many years now. He also was directly opposed to peace negotiations and to the reconciliation process. It is time for Afghans to stop fighting and to start building a real future together.
The elimination of Mansoor has set off a power struggle over his successor. The two frontrunners are said to be close to the Pakistani military establishment, which has historically nurtured and supported the Taliban. Pakistan has lambasted the US over the drone attack, calling it a violation of its sovereignty. Afghanistan has, however, hit at Pakistan over giving shelter to terrorists.
گروه حقانی در پاکستان است. ملا عمر در پاکستان بود. اسامه بن لادن در پاکستان بود. اینا میاری شما ببینید ملا منصور هم در پاکستان در بلوچستان کشته شده. بنابراین خوبی است که پاکستان بالاخره آماده ازی شود که با افغانستان همکاری کند. و اون کسانی که در افغانستان جنگ ادامه میتن اونا را اجازه ندن که در خاک پاکستان باشند.
The drone attack came just days after representatives from the US, China, Pakistan and Afghanistan held another round of negotiations in Islamabad aimed at reviving direct peace talks between the Afghan government and the Taliban. The Taliban have already stepped up their campaign against the Western-backed Kabul government, and Mansoor's death could also scupper any immediate prospect of peace talks. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And BJP MP Anurag Thakur has been appointed as the new BCCI president. He was elected unanimously at the board's meeting in Mumbai on Sunday. Now, Ajay Shirke has been named the new BCCI secretary.
The Board of Control for Cricket in India, said to be the most powerful cricket body in the world, got its youngest president on Sunday. Parliamentarian and former BCCI Secretary Anurag Thakur was unanimously elected at the board's special general meeting in Mumbai as the 34th president of BCCI. 41-year-old Thakur replaces Shashank Manohar, who quit the position to take up the ICC chairman's job. Incidentally, Thakur will be taking over the reins of the board in rather tough times as the BCCI is facing heat from the Supreme Court to implement the Justice R.M. Lodha Committee's recommendations for sweeping reforms. And Thakur has vowed to carry on the reforms process.
जहां पर खामियां होंगी उनको दूर करने के प्रयास किए जा सकते हैं और समय समय पर जो कदम हमें उठाने होंगे बीसीसीआई उठाएगा और हम अपनी जिम्मेदारी को समझते हैं कि भारत का सबसे लोकप्रिय खेल के प्रति हमारी जो जिम्मेदारी है उसको हम 100% निभाएंगे.
His appointment was hailed by seasoned cricketers as well as fellow politicians.
He's got to carry the legacy of people who have been before him, and I'm sure he'll do that. He's been secretary for a while, so he knows the job and he will take forward. You know, Indian cricket I'm sure will be looked after well. And
मुझे पूरी उम्मीद है कि क्रिकेट की जो साख है उसको मजबूत करने में महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका अनुराग ठाकुर जी निभाएंगे और अनुराग ठाकुर जी के अध्यक्ष बनने के बाद बीसीसीआई के अध्यक्ष बनने के बाद निश्चित तौर से क्रिकेट और क्रिकेट के जो प्रेमी हैं उनको बहुत अच्छा लगा है, उत्साह उनमें आया।
ये विश्वास है कि वो बीसीसीआई के लिए
एक अपने यूथफुल तरीके से, डायनामिक तरीके से अच्छी सेवा करेंगे और बीसीसीआई के लिए ये एक उपलब्धि होगी।
Apart from the president, the BCCI also got a new secretary. Mumbai Cricket Association chief Ajay Shirke took over from Anurag Thakur, and the newly appointed team swung into action soon after assuming charge. The board advertised for a new coach for the national cricket team, who is to be appointed before the team travels to the West Indies in July for a 4-match test series. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
That's all in this edition of news. Thanks for your time.